What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to RDX Podcast. We just kind of get together and talk about all the most relevant things in gaming news, particularly about Xbox. And this week we got a lot of good topics and a phenomenal guest, a good friend of mine. And we'll actually go ahead and kind of introduce him while we let some people file in. We'll give some shout outs. We'll get into the topics. Thank you guys so much for joining us early. Hit that like button as we get moving. Tim Dog, Beastfire Tim Dog is here. How you doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. RDX, let's go.
Oh my God. Okay.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. On top of the morning.
You been having a good day?
Yeah. Happy
too
to
much
be
far
here.
this morning?
No, just trying to get the energy level up. You said,
That's
I got to get the energy level pre-show, so just had to give it in. But happy to be here. The podcast is awesome. I listen to it pretty much every week. Great show. With Brad Sams, I think that guy has to come on a little bit more. He's awesome.
Yeah, cool
really good stuff, though. Happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, I just want to apologize in advance for anybody wearing earbuds or, you can't even hear me saying this now, but sorry. So thank you for coming on, Tim. Good friend, known you for years, and, we're always talking behind the scenes of stuff. Colt Eastwood, welcome to the show, brother. Welcome back.
It's good to be here. It's a lot of stuff. I'm glad to have Tim Dog here. It seems like it's been forever. And of course, the usual panel is great. And as we found out today, our RDX chat, we're now calling them the Peanut Gallery. So yeah, they're super good. I like watching the chat and talking to everybody. So it'll be fun today.
Hell yeah. We've also got So Shady. What's going on, bud? The Sesh Empire back again.
Oh, yes, always back. It's Tuesday. That means only one thing. It's RDX. I can't wait. This is one of my highlights of the week, getting together with you guys and talking games. But I got to say, I hope this week goes by quick because this weekend is going to be straight fire. Let's do it.
Yes, it is. We've also got Zalker87.
Did you just say my name? I can't hear very well. Somebody yelled and I'm kind of dying. Yeah, it's good to be here, man. Yeah, we have a lot of goddamn good topics. And honestly, just like Shady said, I can't wait for the weekend to get here. It's freaking awesome. We're going to be talking about all of it.
Thanks for joining us again, Zocker. Zocker Cars. We've also got D Batch. What's going on, brother?
What's up, dealer? I've been banging and clanging the way forever, and I'm ready to go. I'm pumped. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, dealer.
Oh God. All right. Well, hey, we're gonna have a phenomenal show. Like I said, shout out to almost 300 already watching. We do appreciate it. We got to shout out to our patron sponsors because without those guys, we just, it just wouldn't be what it is. So we got to give a shout out to Captain Redbeard. We got Lethal Papa Darge Knight. We've got Prime Suspect Michael Bowen, Channing Pennington, Guillermo Cavillo, and Robert Prather. If you want to become a sponsor of the show, that link is down below on the Patreon. That tier is for you. And we've got a lot more stuff. Giveaways coming soon, by the way, on the site. Stay posted this week. I'll have the whole list of games up for the next big giveaway. We had a double giveaway last month, so I'm looking to do something pretty good this month as well. And also, I've got some giveaways for this live show. So just be paying attention. I'll call them out. Lethal Papa in the chat will be dropping more codes for BioShock Collection, which is all remastered, 60 frames per second, some of the best games of all time for the Xbox One. And, of course, we got some Xbox cash. So, maybe we can put that towards Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil 2, rather, this week. So we'll be dropping those as well. And I want to start out with, hey, let's go ahead and start off light while we let some more people file in. Sea of Thieves doing phenomenally well thanks to massive streamers, Zalker. What's going on here? A lot of people are. Is this a second coming? What's up?
I don't know what's happening. No, it's honestly it's Summit. That guy, he's a huge streamer. He's gone. I think he's doubled his channel and subscribers since he started streaming Sea of Thieves. And the guy barely. I don't even think he does voyages. He literally just PvPs. He hunts people down. He trolls them. Last night he did. He got 3 Athena chests, which if anybody knows what that is huge. And he basically stalked these guys for 3 hours and then got it. And it's like huge. It's all over the place. Today, Ninja, Dr. Disrespect, Tim the Tapman, all these people are starting to stream it, trying to basically kind of bounce off of what he's doing and grow their channels a little bit more. But Sea of Thieves, man, it's getting a lot of hype, especially for the arena. I think that's what everybody's getting prepared for. Fuck yeah, man. I love the game. I'm glad it's getting the attention it needs. And it's jumping up there. A lot of people are giving it a chance because of all the added content throughout the year.
When does the arena drop?
February.
Okay.
That's what
and
they say.
What do you think about that, Shady? Your favorite streamer, Dr. Disrespect, going on and catching some chickens.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, I think they're all kind of burned out playing the same handful of games that they play every single day, all day. And the audience is getting burned out. They're looking for something new. And Summit has really brought the troll game to Sea of Thieves in a good way. Like for the people that enjoy watching that kind of thing. I catch the highlights myself. Sea of Thieves is just too slow for me to sit and watch. But the highlights are hilarious, man. When you see their dastardly plans basically come to fruition and they end someone else's voyages like horribly. Like I can only imagine going out there spending 3-4 hours and getting just wicked bonsai level loot. And then all of a sudden you've got some high level asshole streamer come rolling in, steal it all and cash it in. And then it's plastered on YouTube for everyone to see. Like, oh man, I would be upset. I would be upset myself.
It's almost like they're playing the Sea of Thieves, right?
That's right. I mean, the game is built around it. So he's not doing anything that you're not supposed to be doing. It's funny to watch because I put in a lot, 30 hours or so into Sea of Thieves at least. And it takes a lot of time to go out there and get a lot of stuff. So that at the end of the day, right when you're rolling into the bank to cash it in and someone comes in and just steals it all, God, that's just savage. And I can understand why a lot of people are watching it, man. It's going to translate to more people playing it, at least trying it, which is a good thing. Yeah. Being in Game Pass, it's not costing them a lot.
Number one stream game. I remember when we were playing, me and you, we stayed up like forever playing this game. We had like 50 chests on this little sloop, and nobody had caught us, and we ended up actually being able to turn them all in and stuff. But that was when Sea of Thieves was at its peak for me. When I was like, fuck, I got all this stuff, and there's guys trying to get it, and I'm also 3-4 in the morning, I'm all cracked out and stuff. So it was definitely a good time at the time. It's just the depth of content. They continue to add it, and I wish them the best of luck. I really do.
It's nice to see the publicity that it's getting for a game that's old and has really been dragged through the mud hard for a long time. It's still getting a lot of content and has maintained its popularity, if not even grown it. That's cool to see.
Yep. Tim, you want kind of the final word on this? Because like I said, these are kind of simpler topics, and then get into the good stuff. You got anything to add to this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had followed Sea of Thieves when it came out, and there were times where it dropped in viewership and people took shots at it and said, hey, look, this and that. But it's a testament to the game. The game is 11 right now for 2019 in most watched games. And that's rising, by the way. There's a lot of like you guys mentioned, a lot of viewership around this guy's Summit. His streams, I have watched them. They are just constant action. The other guys, I do think it's a good idea to play a game like this off of a fortnight and something like that, because if you notice in the game, there's a lot of downtime, so you can talk and get to know you don't have to be so locked in because you're setting a voyage. There's a lot of downtime, so it's a good game for that in that aspect, and it's kind of a break. But the crazy thing is that in 2015, I played at E3, pretty much the beginnings of what you're going to be playing, I think, with PvP, the arena, next month, and it's a lot of fun. So if you think the game is like just getting just a bump, it's going to be more than that. The momentum is going to come when this arena drops, and I have to say, if you haven't tried it out, you got to really try it out. It's a lot of fun, or at least when I played at E3, it was a lot of fun, and you could not get near it. Like you can, the line was so long. So
should be interesting
stuff for it.
Oh
yeah. Drama Free Gaming in the super chat says the #1 Xbox and gaming podcast is back again. Just showing some love. We do appreciate it, man. Thanks. I know that's your opinion, but we do try to put on a show with as little dead air as possible. Hey, it's a little hey, I do want to move on because there's a bunch of games coming out early the first half of this year. I don't think it's ever been this packed, and we counted 8 or 9 big games. And this does include things like Resident Evil 2. You've got Devil May Cry. You've got Anthem. You've got Crackdown. You've also got Division 2, which there isn't too much to talk about, but there are a lot of hardcore Division fans out there. Let us know in the chat if you're one of them. D-Batch, they got some new technology in Division 2. They're getting the most out of their systems. Did you have a chance to look into this yet?
Yeah, so I was taking a look at it here, and it looks like they're really going all in with their DX12 implementation. I guess now that they're partnered with AMD for this game, they're really getting, to the DX12 metal, should we say. And it looks like this game is going to be really, really optimized. They're doing all kinds of neat things with the way they reconstruct Washington, from actual pictures. So we should get a really accurate depiction of Washington, and yeah, it looks amazing. Actually, I have this game pre-ordered, so I'm just dying to try this game. I enjoyed the first game. To be honest with you, the first game I kind of did lose a little bit of interest in it. I hope they learn from the mistakes of the first game on the second game, but nonetheless, it looks like a looker.
Yeah, they're basically getting the most out of asynchronous compute. So I mean, they're doing all kinds of really cool stuff, reinvesting, and we've all seen Odyssey.
I know.
Thing,
we know Ubisoft knows how to make really good games this past few years.
Yeah, a lot of their games are kind of crippling on the PC, to be quite honest with you. And the fact that they're really partnering up with AMD and like really going all in for DX12, I think those people that have a AMD GPU out there are going to be in for a real treat, especially the Radeon 7 that's dropping next month. It's supposed to be really optimized for the 7nm Vega. So yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a good game. We have a beta coming. I think it's February 7th or something like that.
February 7th, yeah. It's coming around that time.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put it through its paces at that time. But yeah, it looks amazing. Are you guys looking forward to the game?
I am, definitely. I've kept up with it a lot. I liked Division 1. I thought the launch of it was really bad, and like Ubisoft, they've learned from their mistakes, like they did with Siege and a lot of other games, that they just kept putting more content out there and learning from their fans and what they wanted. And for Division, especially after 1.8, patch 1.8, they've really turned the table on that game. And a lot of people like it. I even liked it. I went back and played it for a couple weeks and really enjoyed it. And I was like, you know what? Division 2 looks really good. They've had a lot of interviews about it, about the tech that we were just talking about, and also implementing that within the game and putting actual content out there about raids, not raid, but raids, and a bunch of other stuff for the end game, and revamping their PvP. They're swinging for the fences on this game, and I think they know they have to because of the competition with Anthem and Destiny. Right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So it's looking good. It's looking good, man. I'm loving it.
This series, like this looter shooter, if you will, has also had a little bit of time now on the market for these companies to kind of learn and watch what the other games are doing, take what works and run with that, and kind of hopefully anyways, leave what didn't work in the past. I mean, I might be wrong here, but I think I read that the story in Division 2 was like 40 hours. Unless I read that totally wrong. Like, that's insanely long. That's awesome. The graphics look amazing. I really enjoyed the first Division. My only issue with the Division as like a looter shooter itself, for me personally, at the end game for me is always like a peacock game. I want the coolest looking gear and weapons and stuff like that. And because Division is based in kind of reality, you walk in with like a purple jacket and everyone's like, yeah, whatever. No one cares. It just doesn't stand out. Whereas Destiny or Warframe, as an example, the armor is outrageous because it's science fiction. Even something like a Skyrim or Elder Scrolls, they can go all out with some of that fantasy armor. But because it's based in reality, I just found the end game loot to be kind of dull. I mean, the stats are nice. They do way better stuff, but visually it's just not as eye-catching. So it doesn't lure me as long to play those games as it does for the sci-fi versions of them.
The developers actually brought that up in an interview they had about a day ago. Actually, a guy posted it, and they talked about how that was a problem in Division where you didn't look unique.
Yeah,
when you had good stuff. So they said that they've really revamped that and actually went very deep into making you feel unique with the gear you get and the stuff that you've earned.
Unique is good, but like unique isn't enough. You have to be cool. You have to look cool.
No, I mean,
I just walk in with a jacket that you don't have. I mean, yeah, you don't have it, but if it's not a wicked looking jacket where everyone in the room isn't kind of like, God damn, I'm just sort of lost interest at the end game for collecting
First
all the high gear
stuff. This needs to be a finished game. I think we can all agree on that.
Oh yeah,
the last one. This needs to absolutely be a finished game. They've had over 3 years now to work on this game, or essentially 3 years by the time it's done, building on technology they've already established. So hopefully, Ubisoft's been on a roll here, releasing finished games. There was a couple years there where it's like, whoa, where the fuck are all the finished games at? And then Far Cry hit, and Odyssey hit, or Origins hit, and since Origins, and maybe even Watch Dogs 2. They kind of been like, hey, you know what? We've actually filled out some of these games. So Division 2 kind of looking good. Like, once more, let us know if you're interested. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, that's what I ask you. I've really been following it on the PC side. I haven't been following it on the console side. Did they say the targeted resolution that they have for the Xbox One X?
No.
Colt, didn't they hit 4K on the X already, right, with the first one?
Yeah, the enhanced is native 4K at 30. I think the frame rate holds pretty freaking solid. Yeah, it looks really good. I took some screenshots last year and put them up on Twitter. That, like, I zoomed in on my phone like all the way up and sent those out, and like it's pretty well done. But the lighting is just garbage in the first game. It's just that hazy, bland overtone thing. Like, and I'm that like D was looking at that article. They're increased lighting. They've made it more realistic. There's some
the HDR as well.
Yeah, there's some destructible procedural environment stuff in there. So like if you shoot light poles or garbage cans, like they will take some sort of damage. And
does he close car doors?
Yeah, right.
That's important. Is there a season pass? Do you guys know? I know Anthem isn't selling season pass for all its content.
Not sure.
The first year, all content is free.
Ooh.
After that, there's going to be a gold edition, just like every season pass, but they have not announced what's in it. They said they're going to talk about it as it gets closer to launch.
So second year, they might sell more content, but for the first year, it's free.
The first year, it's all free.
That's cool.
Did Gears do that? Did Gears do something similar to that? Like they gave you all the maps, and then they took it away after a year.
They rotate the new maps in, and then if you want to be able to play them privately, you can buy them. Otherwise, you have to just wait for them to come up in the hopper. Is the way Gears works.
Well, we got to move forward, guys. We're talking about Division 2 for 50 years here. I got to give a shout out to over 500 people watching us already.
Yeah, 500.
Let's try to get up to 300 likes for the end of the show. It really does help more than you know. Maybe share this on Twitter or wherever you share things. D shares everything on Grindr. And, of course, we're going to move on to Metro Exodus. We got another game that's coming out here soon. For those who are curious, and I brought this up because Shady showed us this video. A guy named SkillUp played the game on Xbox One X. He went and he played it, and he had a pretty interesting quote here. He said that it is easily the best-looking game on console he's ever seen. He directly references God of War and Red Dead right after he says that, which that's really impressive for a third-party title. Colt, does this? I don't know. Is it one of those things where you're like, I don't know if that's kind of weird to think about.
It's really impressive for that development team. They're out of Poland, or are they out of Russia? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think they live in the actual metro in Russia. Yeah,
I think they are, right. Like they're not the biggest team, but they're small. Kind of, holy smokes! I mean, that's quite a pedigree to go against. Somebody asked earlier in the chat, like a few minutes ago, what was the best looking game you guys played in 2018? I'll ask you real quick. Red Dead Redemption 2 was probably the best looking game I played last year. What about you guys?
Same.
Yeah, I'd say in most ways, Red Dead. But then you got the same people are like, "How Red Dead didn't look as good?" And it's like, "Where'd you play it?" The Pro. All right.
I don't know. For me, it's a toss up between Red Dead and Spider-Man.
But Odyssey. Yeah,
mine's Odyssey because of the HDR and everything else. I love that game.
Yeah,
Odyssey is a good looking game. But for me, it's Red Dead, just the scale and the way they did things. You could see a top-notch effort there. I think it's still above a lot.
Yeah, Red Dead just looked insane. Rick's in Super Chat. Anybody going to be jumping into Black Desert? Me, myself, as of right now, no. Anybody else?
It looks
when is that, March?
I kind of like what I've seen of it, but I don't think I'm going to be buying it myself.
I don't know. I'll say this, though. I was loosely interested in Metro Exodus. And the reason why I wasn't really going to get it because it was heavily, for racing on the PC, right? So I said, okay, I'm not going to get the game. Then the gameplay footage came out, I don't know, last week when we saw it, when they were in the desert, and I was just floored by the visuals. It is really a beautiful looking game. And kudos to the developer because their Metro games have been pretty good.
Yes.
But missing that little piece, and I think they found that element now, and I think they're releasing it at a good time where it won't get lost in the shuffle. So I'm excited for this game.
I got to give a shout out real quick to David Sullivan on Super Chat. Thank you so much. Tryhard Fan says Detroit Become Human was the best looking game, and I do have to say, those type of games, they're kind of cheating in a way because they're on a very linear scale in terms of their gameplay design, right? So I don't know. Those games always look good from that team, and there's a reason because of the type of game it is. For something like Metro to look as good as it does, and it's an open world or massive hub type world game, Red Dead's a truly open world game. I don't know if I would put you next to each other. But,
as for Metro, I have to say, Shady gave us a gameplay link a couple days ago in a private chat that we had, and I was blown away. I mean, I'm not really looking forward to it, but once I saw that, I was like, man, this is something that I might want to play. And a little story of like how we're saying it's one of the best looking games, or somebody said it was the best looking game. That developer is very intricate in their detail. There was something like I saw a story that the guy that does all the graphics and everything, he saw like a smoke in another game, like, and he was like, our smoke looks like shit compared to that, and like ran into like his like developers and were like, we need to make it better than this. What the fuck are we doing? Like literally, and they were like, yeah, look at it, we fucking suck. And like that's like literally, they were just like they're harder on themselves than anyone else is going to be. And it was really cool to see them take pride in their game and basically be like, hey, let's be competitive with every developer out there, even in the smoke department. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, developers are extremely competitive, even to the point where you got that French guy from the Tomb Raider team saying those animations are fake. You know, like, he was so jealous, he was so salty that he accused the animations on Last of Us 2 being fake. So I just thought that was hilarious. Yeah, Metro, like I said, this is coming from Skill Up. You can go watch his video. He played on the Xbox One X. He says it's the best looking console game he's ever seen. And we know that means that it's one of the best looking games you've ever seen, if you've ever seen an Xbox One X. So yeah, that's pretty good words there. We do got our first giveaway here. Lethal, go ahead and start getting that ready. We got a copy of the BioShock collection. This comes with 1, 2, and Infinite. All 1080 60. Great games. You haven't played them. I mean, they're must-owns in my opinion, up there with like Mass Effect and stuff. So while he gets that ready,
I have a question, dealer. Is Metro Exodus going to be a 4K 30 game? Because the remasters are like 1080p 60.
I think they're 960, but they were never patched for the X. Yeah.
So we're going to expect to see that at like near 4K at 30.
I would say near, at the very least, near 4K. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like 1800 somewhere up there, because from what I'm hearing on PC, it's pretty demanding. So you know, it's gonna trickle down onto the console. So yeah, I near 4K, some type of dynamic resolution. Maybe, hopefully, we'll get a 1080p, 60 frames per second performance mode. Hopefully.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on that shit. But hey, Lethal, if you're ready, bud, go ahead and drop that code in the chat now. First come, first serve. BioShock collection. Just copy paste that code and get yourself some of the best games ever made. Ace Combat 7 needs some love. You know what? Ace Combat 7 is a half-ass on behalf of that developer. Now, Sir X-Man, hey, props to you. You really enjoyed that game, and I'm sure it still looks great on the X at 1080p. I don't know why people say 1080p doesn't look good now, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a great game. Probably one of the best Ace Combats in a long time.
Because it's 60 frames, yeah.
Yeah, but the developers, we've seen on the X, they run the Pro and the X version at 1080p, and then the X drops all kinds of frames randomly. So we know they didn't even try to optimize, because at least, minimum, the X can easily render over double the pixels, no problem, over the Pro. So not only is it the same, but they're dropping frames. I mean, they didn't even try.
They did a file save as.
When the game is enhanced, it automatically sells more copies. Like, developers are enhancing shit, just leaving it 1080p. Because it says enhanced, it sells more copies. So
yeah, they did a file save as Xbox One X version and then just left. And I just got to say, if you take the time to create a really great game, and people love the Ace Combat series, I'm really ashamed for Bandai Namco for creating this great game that people love, and they didn't even allow it to look the best it can on all the platforms. Like, to do that to the Xbox, and it's not a game I'm interested in, so it's not like a salty comment, but like, if I was them who made that game, I would be embarrassed that I didn't make it look the best it could look, because that's where it would look the best on the X and on PC, and they kind of blew that. So I don't support that kind of crap.
No.
D, was that you?
Yeah. I also want to add that they are showing favoritism to the Sony console. Just a simple fact that the PC version doesn't have VR included on it. The VR missions are exclusive to the PlayStation 4. So you know,
marketing deal.
Yeah, you know, that's where they prioritize. You know, their priority was with that platform instead of the other platforms. And you're right, they didn't attempt at all on the Xbox One X. It could at least do 1440p. Come on,
minimum. And I don't think it's because of marketing deal either, because Battlefield 1 had a marketing deal with PlayStation. Witcher
Red Dead had a marketing deal. Yeah,
Battlefield 1 had a marketing deal with Xbox. Witcher did, and the Xbox version was the worst version. You know, they still optimized for the PS4 there. So I don't know, Tim, if you've seen this Ace Combat stuff.
Yeah, I agree with 100% with you guys. Basically, this on me goes on the developer. They saw a platform that is probably going to sell the least amount. They're probably more focused on the VR portion of it, and it showed. And it stinks. All you can do is complain about it. But it's a game now that I might get on sale. I would have bought that game, probably day one if it was enhanced. To just be 1080p and the same as the Pro, it's shitty. It's just a shit job.
Hey, D, these are the same guys that gimped the. Can I use the word gimp? That Tekken 7 or whatever it was. Was it Tekken 7 last year?
I'm not sure.
Tekken 7. Yeah, they ran it at 720 with no AO, no ambient occlusion, stuff like that. Yeah,
on the X. Yeah, I mean it's the same group. I think it was Bandai Namco or whatever. But yeah, that's just kind of. It's not a very cool thing.
Got to give shout out to Lady Foxfire real quick in the chat. What's going on? Go ahead, D.
No, I say it's such a great looking game. If they had optimized it for the X, they would have got more sales, because now there's a lot of Xbox owners that just aren't going to get the game. Like you said, you're going to wait. Like Tim said, he's going to wait for it to go on sale. Personally, I wasn't going to get it on the X. I wanted to get it on the PC, and I was hoping for VR. And now I'm probably not going to get it on the PC. I'm probably just going to wait for a price drop as well. So treat every platform the same and use every platform's advantage for your game. It's just stupid.
Yeah, 74% of the sales are on the PlayStation for that game. She's crazy.
I read that. I was like, oh.
And that's enough about Ace Combat. I'll let Dealer have his show back.
Tryhard fan says Tekken 7 don't look, PC's the only platform it looks really good on, unfortunately. So I don't know what they did with that one either. It seems to be, certain developers that just kind of half-ass stuff and take the easy route. But at the end of the day, they're hurting themselves. I don't think there's any positive to that. Let's go ahead and move on to some of these Resident Evil 2 reviews, and then we can start ramping some stuff up. But we do got to give a shout out to over 600 people watching us live, guys. Tim is just dying every single time we say something. God. We do got to give a shout out to over 600 people watching us live. Hit that like button. Let's try to get to 300 for the end of the show as we move on to some Resident Evil 2, possibly it is the biggest game of the month. And we know Kingdom Hearts is coming out, but I just do not give two shits about that game. We're going to talk about Resident Evil 2 and the reviews. Last time I checked, it was a 93 Metal on Xbox. I'm sure that's changed. But that game is reviewing its ass off, man. And it looks great, right, Shady?
Yeah, it does. It looks fantastic, and it plays fantastic as well. Within seconds of me holding that in my hands, the controller, playing the game, I knew I was in for something special, especially when I blew that zombie's ear off. I really knew I was in for something special. And it launches Thursday night. I'm super hyped for this game. It reviewing well isn't really a surprise considering what I've played and seen, but it's a nice thing to hear. Better than it being, it falls apart at the end. Something's trash. It's broken somehow. Like, I'm just glad that it's doing well in reviews. I think it's going to kill it in sales, and I am excited to play it.
Is it Thursday night or Wednesday night?
I think it's Thursday. I think it's the 25th when it comes out. So I'm assuming Thursday night, whenever that time zone kind of thing flops over for everybody. Where I live, that's 10 p.m. So that's pretty sweet. I get to play most stuff before midnight. But I'm not sure exactly when it launches. For all I know, it's Friday morning. I know it's soon. Real damn soon. Yeah. And I'm hyped.
Y9 Power says Resident Evil surprised everyone. That Capcom team they got, they made 7, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2. That team is they got some smart people over there, man. They've come through with a new engine. Tim, are you at all interested in this? Are you gonna, maybe not?
Well, no. Originally, it was one of the first video games that I remember playing as a kid. I finished it. This is it's gonna be awesome. I'm a little disappointed. I felt like they could have done a little bit better on the port side for the Xbox, but other than that, it's still pretty good. I hear that type of grainy graphics. I can't. It's hard to explain. It does do well with the resolutions at higher. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm very surprised. I was off. I had an 85 Metacritic, so
it might get there. I mean, the number I pulled out was just from earlier. It could be lower than that 93 right now. Maybe
once it hits 93, though, once they post 93, you never really see a big shift unless it's something wrong with the game or something happened with the game. But over that I would say that it's over 90 if it's 93 right now.
And also that demo that they did test performance on, I'm not sure if the final build is the same. They said there were people saying that's an early build. I do know that there's some screen space reflections that have like a grainy resolution to them. They might be a little low resolution, but at the end of the day, I think it looks great. And for those wondering, if you want it to be a little less grainy, I think you can turn film grain off in that game.
You can.
So that
kind of always turn film grain.
I always keep it on. I like it. I've always liked. Yeah, I like it. It just makes me feel like more of, I guess, what they try to convey, like more of a movie.
Well, hey,
some people like 30 frames too. Just a little joke. Just a little joke.
Hey, at least we can get the option. That's
if the options are there, it's super good.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Zalker, did you hear about this Forza Horizon 4? It had 7 million users already, apparently.
Yeah, that's not surprising. I mean, Forza Horizon's been pushed a lot by Xbox and Microsoft. It's such a huge franchise that it's not surprising at all. I mean, like, I love the game.
7 million users, not sales.
No, not sales, of course. That includes, Game Pass and people that bought the game. It's all together. 7 million users have played Forza Horizon, and I hope it goes to more because that game, I'm not a huge racing fan. I know Dealer is. He plays a lot of, Forza games and racing games in general. But for me, that's the only racing game that's really grabbed me and made me play more, and I've wanted to play more, and I keep going back to. It's one of those games just like, yeah, it came out, you play it. Oh, man, in a month or two, I might be playing it again for fun. And that's just, such a good game, so well done by one of Microsoft's strongest teams. And everybody should freaking, like, honestly give it a shot. Like, just if you haven't played it, which most of you probably have, give it a shot.
Hey, I got to give a shout out to Mega Bad Seed in the chat. Hey, what's going on, brother? Forza's great. It's a phenomenal game, and you can come back to that game in a year, and it's just going to have more content, and it's going to be just as fun to play. And that kind of leads me to my next question. This next expansion, I had heard something about a Hot Wheels 2. I don't know if that's true, so don't quote that. But if that were true, chat, would you be satisfied with that? Is that, because the people that do have criticisms of Horizon 4, it's kind of a been there, done that type of feeling, and that's completely understandable. But would this kind of extend on that feeling, or would you be completely fine with it? And Hot Wheels was a badass DLC, so
it really was.
All over.
I had to twist your arm to play it. I know, Dealer, you didn't play it very much at launch, and then we started gaming together a little bit. I'm like, come on, play this a little bit. We got in there and drove your Mustang around the little plastic tracks. You're like, this is kind of fun. So yeah, it was good. That's a good little expansion.
Yeah,
look, a dinosaur.
Oh, look at my hooves.
Yeah, so it looks like a lot of people are. They would definitely be down for Hot Wheels 2.
I mean, it's better than
he said
Fortune Island.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Fortune Island. I don't know, man. Nothing really held up to that first race in Fortune Island. That's my one complaint. You go through, the trees falling, all that stuff's happening, and there's no other race like that in the game after that.
The weather wasn't even extreme. There's lightning storms with clear skies, in the game. I don't want to talk about it.
I do. I mean, it's kind of odd. Like, I thought Fortune Island, and this is just me, like, and maybe I mistook it for even making this thought, but I thought there would be just ridiculously narrow, windy cliffside roads that you have to literally crawl through occasionally, and it's just really, really crazy, like just dangerous stuff like that. And when they showed the trees falling and stuff, I was like, oh, this might be pretty cool. But not that it was bad. I had a good time with it, but
yeah,
it started off at its highest peak, and then you kind of just went through the motions, and it was solid.
Yeah, it just doesn't compare to Blizzard Mountain and the Hot Wheels expansion. It's just that was a tough transition.
Yeah, the art on it when like the car's like on the edge of the cliff. I was expecting like if you're racing with your buddies and you just knock them off the cliff and like they're just like flying off and you're just like flipping them off. Like that's what I was expecting to see. But when you were like, yeah, a tree fell on the road and that was pretty much it. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, 7 million players, no, they're not sales, but it doesn't matter. I think that's very impressive no matter what. I mean, there's a reason everyone's going to users, so I think that's kind of important to keep in mind. They definitely want engagement, and they're getting it here. So it's pretty impressive. Unlike David Jaffe, the creator of the original God of War, and this is a little bit older, but it's worth talking about because this guy says that AAA games are dying, D-Batch. And I want to know what kind of crystal meth the guy had in his possession at the time. Assorted things. Do you know anything about this?
No, AAA games are dying. It's absurd. Come on, we're seeing God of War sales, Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption 2. AAA games are
a year of record after record. They're dying.
That's just I don't know. This guy just probably wanted some attention, to be honest with you. It makes
Remember me?
I think if anything, AAA games are on the rise, especially single player games. These games are selling at like unprecedented numbers. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the quality that's going behind them, it's like some of these AAA games are like motion pictures.
Yeah. I don't agree with the guy, but if you look back at like what Capcom was doing, they said that they're going to kind of pull back from the AAA machine and pull back from making new IPs. But what they did instead was, right, we're talking about Resident Evil 2, is they put maximum effort into like a remake like this where people are like, I don't mind it because it's made so fucking well. So I don't agree with him saying like it's dying. I just think he's saying a lot of companies don't know if they want to take the risk, like Capcom doesn't want to, on new IPs that require a huge budget.
Yeah.
I can see a little bit of that and truth to that. But other than that, it just whatever you're going to make, even if it's a remake, if you make it well and it's AAA quality, people are going to fucking come and play it and buy it. That's just a fact.
I think it's scary to make big budget story driven games. It's a big risk. You spend a lot more money making a big story game, and he's probably looking at how he made God of War, and then he saw how Santa Monica took a big risk and took a different direction, God of War, and it totally paid off several times over. And I think, if you're a smaller studio, that's kind of what Microsoft, when they picked up these studios, they were scared to make these big story-driven games, afraid that they would invest all this money in mocap and all the stuff that goes into writing a story and have it not pay off and have the game bomb. But like Zocker's right. If you're good, and you'll get paid off, and it'll make a good game.
You can't lead your team through its journey with a vision of fear. What if?
Yeah.
What if we do this and it doesn't? What if it doesn't sell enough because it doesn't have this multiplayer thing? Like, it really, ultimately, you just got to let someone very creative, talented lead a team and build a badass game. And you just got to stop. Quality is first. I wish certain publishers had figured this out, especially like EA and stuff with some of their stuff. Sometimes it just build the best game you can, and the numbers seem to come.
Yeah, there's two spectrums. There's we obviously know that like the big online games like Call of Duty and Battlefield and FIFA and NBA, they're always at the top of the sales chart. But then look at God of War and Spider-Man sales, like those are huge. So they're in that middle area and they're afraid. And Dealer's right, yeah.
Gregory Wagner says we are past AAA as we are legit entering quadruple A. I just hope they don't jump the price on us next gen. Do you guys agree with that?
Listen, to be honest,
what defines a quadruple A, like truly?
Well, budget, just how much money you get.
Well, he's saying, do you think they're gonna have a 69 price for a game? Listen, if they did really get games to the point where they were pushing out games like Red Dead, I wouldn't have that much of a problem with it, considering that I was paying that in 2005 or 2004. But obviously you want the games the money to not always increase, as you want to just pay. But if it got to that point, then the market could adjust, in my opinion. But it's not there yet. I think with David I think that's more of an admission of himself. I think that it is harder to make a AAA game, but it's not as hard. I think the climate has improved considerably. Still a total risk, and you could lose everything. But you shouldn't shy away from making a AAA if that's what you want. You look at a team like Ninja Theory, and they seem to figure it out, and they're pushing for making AAAs. So I guess just the developer specific on that statement.
Yeah, and two, we have access to their fucking numbers. So if EA say, well, we have to raise the price $10, and we're like, well, you just made 3/4 of your profits from microtransactions and DLC. So no, you don't. We're not idiots, right? So we know whether or not they need to raise their price. And right now, thanks to, instead of prices going up across the board from 50, 60, now $80 for a game, they've just decided to not only do DLC, which they were making a killing on, but also add microtransactions, which you used to only find in free-to-play games in as well. And that's how they've kind of supplemented their price and kind of kept it the same. Plus everything's going digital. Everyone kind of gets a bigger cut and all that stuff too. So they found ways. I wouldn't let these guys convince anybody that they are hurting because they're successful.
Maybe developers will be as kind as I can never say their name. The guys that do Fallout 76. Maybe developers will be as nice as them and make their game free to play for everybody.
What?
Bethesda?
You didn't hear that? That Bethesda is gonna make Fallout 76 free to play.
I've been hearing rumors. That would definitely get me in because I don't know.
What do you mean? Like they're just gonna, hey, you just bought our shit for $40?
I mean, yeah. Well, apparently, it's just a rumor, right? Well, it's not a rumor per se, but EB Games in Australia, they've pulled all of their Fallout 76 games.
What?
Yeah, and there's rumblings that basically the game's gonna go free to play.
Well, they're gonna have to wait at least a couple of years before
the Australians can attest to this. They probably banned the game because it has too many glitches.
Oh my gosh. When you say pulled the game, they took them out back with a shotgun and said,
"That's it." Put them out their misery. Yeah, but that's the word that's going around. There's a few outlets that have been covering this, and
I've heard it.
Yeah, it's a rumor right now that it's gonna go free to play, which would be awful to like. It'd be awesome because then I would actually try the game, because it's free at the same time. But for the people that went out and paid for this game full price, or that went and got the special edition with the shitty bag, it's really gonna piss them off, and they're not doing themselves any favors either. There's a developer room that's hidden in the game. Some users actually found that developer room, and it allows you to get like all the items for free. And
oh my gosh!
The people that found that room, they banned them.
Oh my gosh! The chat's saying that Fallout 76 should go to Game Pass, and considering they had a marketing deal with Microsoft, start having that talk. Would you guys like to see it go to Game Pass?
No. I mean, I got the game for free. My buddy bought it. We game share. We literally played, I think, like 5-6 hours or something like that in one night or 2 nights, and we have not gone back since. The game's like frame rate dropped to like 14 multiple times.
Yeah, that's done, man.
It was bad.
So much better and improved now than it was. I watch my roommate play it pretty often, and it's a different game than it was at launch. Like, there's no story and narrative. They didn't add that, so if that was your issue, it's not there still. But gameplay wise and like just moving around the world, it's way less buggy. The ragdolls are much better. The shooting mechanics look and feel better from what I've seen. Like it has improved. Still empty.
I know it's not
things
always
that I don't like.
I know it's not always about graphics. Gameplay has to have its say too. But in all honesty, that game just looks like fucking trash. I'm sorry.
It does.
Fallout 4. I've been playing it lately. I just finished up the last of the DLC. It still looks really good. It still looks pretty decent. And then I see like the Fallout 76 stuff. I'm like, oh, that's why Fallout 4 still looks good.
Hey, I got to give a shout out to Big X in the super chat. Great time to be a gamer. You know what? I would agree. Sometimes it gets old with all the doom and gloom channels around. Every game just murdered itself, and this is how the game got cancer. And it's ridiculous. So I kind of try to enjoy gaming. It's the best hobby in the universe. You know what? We're just going to go ahead and kind of move on. Shout out to everybody here. We just had almost 700 people in the fucking live. We do appreciate it. Let's try to get to 300 likes for the end of the show. As we kind of move on to the big kind of Xbox NPD information going on here with their reveal here. Tim, I know you probably looked into this a little bit, but Xbox versus PS4 and NPD looks like ultimately the news is interesting because we are, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, getting towards the end of the generation. And I feel like the drop-off this year really signifies that well. So we're kind of going to these specific numbers, and I've talked to several people, and as far as I could tell, these are accurate numbers. So just remember that. So Switch definitely crushed everything, but obviously no one here really gives a shit. We're all about we're all about the Xbox and the PlayStation side over here, really. So Xbox came in at 920,000 units in December, and keep in mind, Xbox beat PlayStation last year. Switch beat everyone. But Xbox beat PlayStation 4 last year in December as well. PlayStation 4 came in at 797,000 units.
Oh man, I knew why there was a reason I was having a better time with my Xbox over the last few weeks, man. It's more than PlayStation. I'm having way more fun with it now. I knew there was a reason.
I don't have fun with my Xbox unless the sales are higher than PlayStation. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Jesus.
Oh, my favorite thing to do when people say that is like, oh, so you were a Switch, you were a Wii fan last gen, huh? Because that took a dump on everything. And did that affect your fun? Probably not, so.
No.
But it is stuff that people want to know, and I just thought it was really interesting. Chat, let us know why you think that Xbox actually outsold the PlayStation 4 in December of 2018. But like I said, the numbers compared to the previous year.
I want to put that in perspective. Last month it was each of those consoles sold like 1.3 million. This year they're hovering around the 1 million mark. Like that's just consoles sold in North America. Like that. You'd think by now everyone has an Xbox or a PS4 or a Switch or one or two of each one. Like there's that many going out the door and into people's homes, and they'll turn those suckers on and playing games. Console gaming is really moving and doing really well, and it's something to be excited about.
Batman Gaming says, I'll take a Switch over PS4. Hey, I will say that, the Switch does have a lot of pretty good exclusives here and those kind of games.
Yeah, that's what's pushing the sales, especially over the holidays. That's Super Smash Brothers.
I was about to say that, man. Smash
was a mega hit for them, man. Like I went to 3 parties this year on the holidays, and every single one of them, all the kids, they all brought their controllers, and we had like 8 people playing. I think it was 8 or 9 people playing like Super Smash Brothers on one screen. Like that game is just a smash hit.
Yeah, me and my buddy even played it.
Are the NPD numbers like dollar amounts? That number, or is that number of consoles sold?
I think they
sold 1.7 million in dollars.
Yeah, they go by the number of consoles sold. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Anyways, I think what Dealer was saying, what pushed the Xbox One over the edge. I think the X is selling really well. I think it really, helps out with the regular SKU. The price drop, because over the holidays it was $100 cheaper. And let's put all the fanboy stuff aside. Let's be honest. For the price, and the amount of native 4K games it has, and just the capabilities of the system, from the 4K Blu-ray player that does HDR, to your 4K games, to it having FreeSync as well, is attractive to some people.
Yeah, that's right. And Fawn's had a good point. Red Dead sold some X's as well, even from not just regular consumers, but even journalists went out and got an Xbox One X just for Red Dead alone.
Hi, Fawns.
Yeah, hi, Fonz.
Yeah, didn't the guy from NPD say that the X is selling exceptionally well, and it's like really pushing Xbox to give more everything? Yeah, phenomenally well. He said that. So, I mean, D, you're not wrong, man. I think December and this holiday, the X has really shined, especially when Red Dead came out. That was a big part. That was a big showcase for Xbox, even though the marketing deal was under PlayStation. So yeah, man, Xbox is moving consoles because of that X and that power and how well the machine just runs and how well optimized it is. It's fucking great, man.
Critical in the chat says true 4K doesn't use checkerboarding. Yeah, that's why Red Dead Redemption was native 4K. It was true 4K, no checkerboarding. And honestly, checkerboarding has gotten substantial. Like I said this forever ago, like over a year ago, this stuff is going to get more and more common. And as it does, the technology is going to be better and better. Our first examples of checkerboarding were actually not that great. Mass Effect Andromeda, for instance, where that whole checkerboarding would fall apart sometimes and the whole screen would go into haze. Like you would notice it occasionally. Like something like Battlefield's checkerboarding compared to that, night and day. So that whole thing has gotten better. They're saving 50% on the power at minimum on the GPU load, and they're able to put that into effects. And if they can get away with that, you know what? More power to them. I don't even care anymore. And
it's even translating over to the PC market too. Like Resident Evil has an interlacing mode. Of course, we got DLSS and direct machine learning, which is in a sense a sort of form of checkerboarding. It's not the same method, but
PC,
but they analyze what the picture should look at and then look like, and then they upscale it to that resolution.
Isn't that weird though, D? Is all the PC guys, checkerboard, you can't call it. Consoles got an upscale and checkerboard, and now they're all hyping this DLSS feature, which they should be excited for anyway because they save on performance. They get a pretty good looking image because it's modern checkerboarding, not 2016 checkerboarding, and it is what it is. Like, what's bad about that? Digital Foundry said dynamic resolution and checkerboarding could be some of the best things to ever come to PC in quite some time because it's going to help people out, you know, and to notice a difference during gameplay, it just depends. But, man, you know, they like to save on performance. So, hey, Lethal, go ahead and get that Xbox card ready. Giving away some Xbox money. We're about to drop that in the chat. First come, first served, as usual. Tim Dog, you know, what are your thoughts on the whole NPD thing? Tim Dog's dead.
Oh,
Tim Dog is dead.
He was such a good person.
No, I'm I had to mute.
Like, I had to go to sleep. I'm back.
I listened to everything.
What's your thoughts on the NPD stuff?
Yeah, no, I think that you guys were mentioning the X selling more than the original or pushing it. That is all true. The X is selling phenomenal. I can tell you that for a fact. Pretty much why I think we have a two SKU 2 tier, and you know, that's coming out in the next generation is because people who are hardcore enthusiasts want the power and they're willing to pay for it. X has proved that. So for X, it's good. It's pretty much mirroring last year. Sony does tremendous in November, and then Nintendo cleans up. Xbox second. You know, this is a pretty good year, but it's going to be interesting where they land this year because, you know, it's the end of the generation, and you know, pretty it's going to be pretty telling where they think. I think this is going to be a big year for Xbox, though. I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah, things are definitely stepping up. They're looking better and better and better.
I want to know actually how the Soldier Boy console did. Why is it not on the NPD?
Soldier Boy, sell them
20 M's.
Hey, Shady's got one.
He's playing Metro on it.
By the way, the Metro, Shady, wasn't it you were saying the Metro guy was throwing shots at Bethesda?
Oh yeah, that was in the Artium special edition, the trailer that they have, which you can only win. There's 10 of them. And it was the author of the Metro books that was in this little trailer. And he was saying that in our special edition, everything is made by handcrafted artisans. And we made sure we had enough material for it all. Like they were throwing jabs at Fallout, which is kind of funny because they're both post-apocalyptic games. That Metro collector's edition, if you have a chance to win it, is pretty legit. It looks wicked. You got the gas mask and little bullet lighter and the watch that Artyom wears in the game. Very cool, but I mean, like I said, 10 out there and you have to win them. But
he's got like 57 sock accounts trying to get that collector's edition right now.
Oh man, I'm huge into Metro now. I'm huge.
Oh yeah,
into it. I played the hell out of the first one this last week. Beat it twice. Got every achievement. I'll be diving into Last Light as soon as this show is over. I am hyped as hell for Exodus, man. Like it just got me. The atmosphere in the game is like almost second to none for shooters. Like it's really good. It comes so highly recommended from me, man. Check it out.
That's awesome. I've thought about giving 33 another try because it had been a couple years. So either way, though, Metro got it day one, so I'm good to go. Once more, guys, thanks for joining us. Almost 700 watching. Hit that like button. Let's get it up there. We got a few more likes to go before we're past 300. We do appreciate it. And we're gonna go ahead and tell Lethal to drop that money code. Go ahead and drop the Xbox Live currency into the chat. And we'll go ahead and move on with the topics. So, yeah, we got some stuff here, D. So a lot of leaks and all this stuff regarding the... Say what?
Nothing. I was just reading the code. No big deal. Keep going.
So we got some Xbox 2 leaks and also got the PS5 stuff and all that from the other day. We had a lot of people that didn't actually keep up with all this stuff, and we didn't really get a chance to discuss it deeply because, we had a lot of people that would watch my video and then ask questions, good questions, like why is it called Xbox streaming if it's got 4 teraflops, stuff like that. You got to remember that, we put it out there several times. Take this with a big-ass football-sized grain of salt, quote unquote. That was my quote. And explain why I think certain things could be, why I think certain things couldn't be, and it even explained why this could even be partial or mostly dev kit related specs as well, which are different. The Xbox One X dev kit had a 1 terabyte SSD, and of course the retail unit had a 1 terabyte custom 5400 RPM drive. So there's going to be big differences. If you see a 1 terabyte SSD in a console like that, don't freak out and be like, "There's no way," because you just never know. So we're actually going to talk about a lot of this stuff and if you got any questions in the chat as we go, let us know, because we know it's a kind of complicated subject, and there's a lot of people that are curious about a lot of this stuff. So D-Batch, I'll start with you here as we read this kind of stuff off. We do have some well, for one, I have to start with this because I got some DMs about this. People were saying they saw a video where developers confirmed they had an Xbox 2 dev kit. They didn't have any PS5 dev kits. So they'll start making games for the Xbox first and all this stuff. That's not true. I couldn't find any source for that. I couldn't find it. You got to be careful where you're getting information. Like, you know, every single time I talk about something, very rarely will I ever say, hey, I heard this behind the scenes. And, you know, like once a year, maybe, and it's legitimate stuff. And that's the only time I don't have a source. Whereas, you know, every other video I've got a source. You can literally go read it yourself. I show it to you on the screen. So if you're watching a video that makes a claim like that, or any kind of leak or anything, and they don't show it to you on the screen, there's no source down below, be sure and call people out on this stuff, because you got to hold them accountable. So that stuff, in regards to devs having Xbox 2 dev kits, that's not real. I don't even know what's going on there. So just want to get that out of the way, because I get DMs about every single thing that's said. I get a DM about it, you know. So you know, I just want to inform people that if that was happening, I would have had a video about these dev kits out. And you know,
well, is that the latest spin about the numbers that everyone's trying to figure out about if they're real or not?
No. There's just there's a video going around, I guess, where they're saying Xbox 2 dev kits have been received by a developer. He did an interview, and that interview does not exist. So I just want to get it out there real quick so we can move along, so I can stop getting messages and stuff about it. So as you saw, D, we do have these specs leaks. We're not saying they're real. We're not saying they're not real. We're going to discuss everything about them in real time and kind of give you our opinions on these things. So 8-core 16-thread SMT Zen 2 for both the Lockhart and the Xbox Anaconda. Now, I've said this over and over, D. 16 threads in a console is absolutely, that's a juggernaut of a CPU for a console.
Definitely.
But I have a problem believing that a console that's targeting $249, and I said more realistically $300 for this Lockhart, is actually going to have 16 threads in it.
Well, to be honest with you, I think it is possible that it could have 16 threads, to be honest with you, just for the purposes of yields. The 7 nanometer Ryzen 2 processors that are coming out later this year, they're going to have a lot of them. And not only is it going to be just one on the die, they're going to have 2 of them on the die. So they're going to have 2 8-core 16-thread CPUs on one die through their Infinity Fabric, essentially making it a 16-core 32-thread CPU. That's going to be, like, you know, their big reveal this year. So they're going to have a lot of 8-core 16-thread chips. So it would make sense from a production standpoint where, you know, they could sell these to the console makers. So I don't think it's too far fetched for that. And also too, I did a little bit of a different story than you last week. They also I think his name is Tip APSAC or something. Sorry if I'm messing up his name, but
APSAC.
Yeah, but he's a leaker, and he found a new chip, a new APU from AMD. It's labeled and everything. You guys can watch the video. And basically on that chip is also, it's an APU, is also an 8-core 16-thread CPU. Now, it doesn't say if it's a 16-thread CPU, but it's 8 cores, and we all know that the 8 cores that AMD makes, they have 16 threads, right? Mm-hmm. So it's their new APUs are going to have 8-core 16-thread paired with Navi too. So it's, you know, all the dots are connecting. So I think it's feasible. 7 nanometer technology, I don't think it's going to be that expensive for them to do it. It's going to cost them less.
I mean, trust me, I want the more the better, right? As a consumer, I don't give a fuck.
Yes, it is a little bit overkill, to be honest with you, but I'd rather have it and not need it than not have it and need it, right?
Well, so, here's my logic here. Is that this thing is targeting $250. Now, the only way that this would benefit them to actually just keep the same CPU across both models, and it's not the same APU. Remember, they're combining this CPU with 2 different GPUs on each one, is because it might make production a little easier. But outside of that, the goal and the one sole goal of this low-tier Xbox, which is 4+ teraflops, is to get into more homes. And to do that, you have to be as cheap as possible. And there's no part of adding a CPU that isn't needed in a box like that makes sense to get the price as low as possible. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what year is this CPU from? Like, when are they having it like locked down? Because somebody said earlier in the chat that they're going to use like a 2014 CPU in the next Xbox.
No, they're not. They're not. That's not happening.
Yeah.
They're not. They're going to really start producing those as well. Like what 24? They're going to use the first generation Ryzen. These consoles for the form factor, it'd be great to have 7 nanometer in it in the first place. Because
is that 2016
of a console? No, I think it's going to have the Zen 2 architecture. The Zen 2 stuff is coming out in June. We're pretty much going to get this announced at E3. So it's over a year before the console comes out. They have more than enough time to make the arrangements to get it into their console. So I don't think so. Now, what dealer's saying here about the 8-core 16-thread B in the streaming, we do have a point there. But at the same time, we don't really know how their cloud compute is going to really work on that console. Perhaps they need a powerful CPU in that system to get everything working, well. So I think we gotta wait. 8-core 16-thread is a little overkill, I will say that, but
just a little.
Who knows?
Yeah. I don't care what Zen it is. Honestly, we know it'll be one of the newer ones. It benefits AMD and Microsoft to do that. But even if they're using Zen 1, it's a quantum leap over the Jaguar stuff we have today. So
just to add to that, though, most likely it's going to be on 7 nanometer. So it wouldn't be the first generation Ryzen if it's going to be on 7 nanometer, to be honest. So it's highly helpful.
And 2, people are forgetting that the streaming box that we've been talking about, and we confirmed that this does exist with Brad Sams himself. He was on a podcast 2 weeks ago with us. He said this box does exist. I know it does exist. They also had another one that got canceled in the past. They've come back with the new one. He doesn't know if they're going to release it, but this box's target is not $250, right? This is a different box than what the leak is talking about. That's what I was saying in the comments of my last video. It's called, the guy called it Xbox streaming, and in parentheses Lockhart. Every console's probably going to be able to stream.
Right.
The purpose of the streaming box is to not have any kind of real local GPU power, any kind of RAM really in it. It's supposed to be as cheap as possible, get around $100-125 and compete with Roku boxes, TV boxes, stream 4K media. And then with the Xbox version, you can actually play AAA games over the cloud too. It's a benefit. It's something their competition doesn't do. But it's not a 4 teraflop console.
Right, because of the CPU and the way that it's constructed. It's a much more comparatively. Is it safe to say that you can't compare the Pro to something like this, because this would yield such bigger results based on the the CPU and the way the memory is, and everything like that. Yeah,
the Lockhart would walk around, CPU wise, especially performance wise, would walk around every console that's out today, no problem. The difference is it'll have the GPU power for the Pro around abouts. It said 4+ teraflops, so keep in mind this is supposedly on Navi according to reliable leakers, which means that's going to be a more efficient 4 teraflops for one. It's going to have newer features as well, and you're also going to have 12 gigabytes of GDDR6, we'll just call it G6. And that's far faster than what the Pro has, especially, or even the X. And on top of that, you're going to have that CPU. So you're going to have, and then when I said 1080p in my video, I'm talking 1080p 60. A lot of games, a lot of gamers will probably do 1080p 60 on that thing. 1440p 30 will probably be about the most you'll see on it for the most part, especially in 2020 as the engines get more demanding. But then again, you got software that's catching up as well, making things like checkerboarding more efficient and look even better. So, everything's kind of catching up with everything. But I do say that this would be, if it is real, then
do you think it's real? Well, I want to interrupt for a second. Does everyone think it's real here? Let's be honest, because I see a lot of people saying there's no way that's real. I see a lot of PC guys laughing at it, making jokes. Do you guys honestly, right now, gun to the head, do you guys think it's real? I'm at the point where I was like, no way, this is true, but now I think it might actually be possible.
Here's why I think the guy at least knows somebody. As I explained for several minutes in my video, that we had already talked about, and I talked to you about this as well, that the next Xbox's GPU, the low-end Xbox, would actually be weaker than the Xbox One X, right? Remember that? Way before this leak actually happened. We talked to several people about this, and I heard this from other people as well that know what they're talking about. Like, it isn't just anybody that knew this. Nobody else was talking about this. And then this leak comes out, and it says the same thing. It actually says hey, it's weaker. It's around about what people are hinting at. And I'm not saying the guy's right, but I'm also saying that nobody else was talking about this lower end GPU being this much weaker than the X in terms, almost 2 teraflops. It could be, who knows, 4.5 teraflops. Just call it 1.5 teraflops. Yeah, I mean, it's noticeably slower, just like we had heard like a month or two before that. So that's very interesting to me. I think this guy knows somebody. I don't think these specs are like verbatim, like correct or anything. I think he's got some things in a roundabout type of area where
it's getting too close. It's getting too close in time where they need to start locking down design and getting ready for production planning. I mean, we've seen this before. We know with what we've heard, we're in a really good ballpark. Right. And a lot of this stuff is probably pretty close.
He could be an AMD guy that knows listen, once you know the form factors and everything that's coming out, you could pretty much make legitimate guesses, and that's what this might be. But my question is to you is, if this is true, do you think that you can see Sony with an 8 teraflop GPU? That is the number that Sherney said that to achieve 4K consistently, that's the number that you should hit. Do you think that's a little far-fetched, or do you think they're around 10?
I think maybe around 9 they might have. I do think that the next Xbox will be more powerful. Just, we've heard behind the scenes that they said they'd never be outgunned again and all this stuff. But just the fact that Phil Spencer was at the CES presentation with Lisa Su, and they did say, they talked about their partnership, and that they said they'd have some more things to announce later in the year. Now, I'm hearing that Navi is going to launch pretty much at E3, and of course we know Microsoft is gonna be at E3, and we could see a situation where Microsoft comes out at E3 and says, listen, the next generation console is gonna have an 8-core 16-thread Zen 2 processor with a Navi GPU capable of this and that, and we're gonna have 12 teraflops of performance, and we will be the benchmark of consoles for the next generation. And a statement like that would pretty much confirm that the PlayStation 5 is going to be less powerful.
Hasn't Microsoft always been the benchmark for power besides the Xbox One launch?
Yes, they have been. The original Xbox was more powerful than the PlayStation that was out at the time.
360 wasn't as powerful.
The 360 wasn't as powerful per se on paper as the PlayStation 3, but it was a lot more friendly for developers, right? So developers got a lot more out of the system because it was just a nightmare developing for the PlayStation 3. And then the PlayStation 4, we all know they just really got outgunned.
I do want to. I want to throw this to Zalker. He's about to say something in a minute, but I do want to sum up the base system, the Lockhart, by saying that no, it is not the streaming box you've been hearing about. Keep in mind that they're bringing xCloud to everything, cell phones, everything. Everything can stream, so it doesn't need to be a dedicated device. The point of the streaming box that we've heard about, that's around 100, 150 bucks, is to be as low a price as possible to get access to Xbox games into the common consumer's house, right? Somebody's like sprinkling some paper.
Somebody's eating some nerds.
So yeah, that's the difference there. Also, when it comes to the 4 teraflop, I also heard some people, and this is the weird thing, people are like, well, how come everyone's covering these leaks? And 10 minutes later, they're covering them on a show.
That is true. That is true.
Really,
a lot of people would follow with the videos.
Yeah, I heard people talking about how this Lockhart's actually more powerful than the X, which is not true. On the GPU side, it's actually less powerful, but it does have the same amount of RAM that is faster, and it does have a better CPU. So you will not be hitting higher resolutions with this thing, but it's going to be a far more balanced system. And it's going to, people forget, I think this is a bad idea. Remember, $300, $250 for this thing. And most people do not have an X. That's a very small minority of people, like 4 or 5% of Xbox owners probably. And most people are on 1.3 T flops right now. If you go up to 4.5, and you got all this better CPU and RAM and stuff, that's a massive leap for $250 to $300 for a lot of people. So just keep that in mind. It's all about perspective and what you've got. If you got an X, you're probably going to get an Anaconda instead. So Zalker, do you remember what you're going to say, bro?
Yeah, I got it. Well, Tim said, gun to the head, do you think this is real? One of the reasons why when I looked at that leak, I thought maybe this guy is actually saying some truth is when he said the PS5 was supposed to launch in 2019, but he thought it was delayed because of backwards compatibility. And he was like, I'm not sure, but that's what I think they're doing. Brad Sams in the when he was on with us on RDX, he said the same thing. He said, I'm not sure if they're kind of moving it back for backwards compatibility. He said the same exact thing. So I was like, wow, maybe this guy does know someone, like you said, and maybe Sony is trying to get that BC on their system before they launch it. And like what the guy said, maybe early 2020 or late 2020. That was just something I remembered.
Let me give
if Sony were to launch this year, though, I think Navi would definitely be out of the, wouldn't be for them. They'd be on a different node process. They could have, obviously, they could still have Zen in there, but they wouldn't have a Navi GPU. They'd have to get something else because that sock would not be ready for them.
Mayhem Gaming in the chat, super chat, thanks, bro. He says, where would the OG Xbox stand in 2020? As we had been talking about for months and months, I think that stuff's coming forward because they're building xCloud out of that Xbox One S hardware. And then we had Brad Sams on. I asked him the same thing. He agreed. So according to what we think, all your stuff's going to come forward. People are like, how's that possible? Scalability. They're going to have to scale things just like PC. We'll see how they do there.
At least for a couple of years until a couple of years into next generation, they're going to start upgrading those blades to current gen technology. And I think, like Dealer and I've we're guessing that the original Xbox will kind of dissolve away. They'll be long gone.
Won't be supported though. That's the thing. Like, let's say you're in that position. What games? When will it become a point where those games are not?
Well,
like
by then,
a new game comes out and then it won't be supported. When is that point coming?
Well, the problem, the thing with that is like by then we're thinking like 2024 or 2022. Like things will be so changed by then. Like it's kind of hard to have this conversation. The whole gaming space and consoles will be a totally different scene. By then, if you have an Xbox One S, you've got HDMI 2.1 in that, right? So you'll have the opportunity to let the cloud do your streaming and do it to basically use your Xbox One S that you bought in 2016. In 2022, it could be running console quality graphics on brand new games that wouldn't normally play on that hardware. It's really nuts to think about how things are going to change in the future. So that's all you can assume.
Well, let me ask another question. Do you guys think that the streaming tech that's built into Maverick or the cloud tech that we keep hearing about that is some type of tech done locally, do you think that might be built into all these systems, or do you think it'll be left out because there's no use?
I'm not sure they have to build it in at all because, like I said, they're bringing this stuff to cell phones. It doesn't make much sense to have to build anything into anything to make that kind of stuff work. I did want to talk real quick because I had people like, "What about the Xbox One X?" Like, well, they're going to move that down to $200 just to, they're going to phase it out. It's going to get phased out, like it or not.
They're going to stop building them pretty soon.
Yeah. If you got a Lockhart out that's way cheaper or just as cheap, that has way better roundabout performance. Like it's a much more balanced system. And if you want to keep your X, I think you'll be able to use that for the foreseeable future. But at the end of the day, keeping those old systems running for as long as possible, that's going to be the thing. And Colt mentioned upgrading the xCloud blades and turn them into Anaconda stuff. We know that's real, but I would argue that maybe they will keep the S stuff for a while and then add the Anaconda tier.
Have both,
pay for higher quality streaming like Netflix.
Right, exactly.
Stuff like that. Shady, you understand the allure of something like $250, $300 box with 4 teraflops. Kind of a big jump for a base Xbox owner.
I think that's the biggest thing actually as to why it makes sense is that the vast majority of people that own Xboxes and PlayStations own the base level systems. That's what they own, not the Pro, not the X. And this console sounds like it is a huge jump from those vanilla consoles. And the casual gamer is going to see it as such. And the price is massively alluring to them. So it gets a new console that plays the new games and the old games better than they're playing now into the house of the mass majority audience, which is casuals. So I think that's why it makes sense and actually doesn't make sense to the hardcore viewpoint when you're looking at it like, how has it got less teraflops than the X? It doesn't translate well. It just looks bad on paper. All those things, casuals have never even heard of that shit. Yeah. They don't know what a teraflop is. They don't know what the fuck Digital Foundry is. They're not into that stuff. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what the actual specs are for a casual gamer when they're told it's the next gen and it's going to play what you have now better and it's going to play the new games coming out. and it costs around $250, they're going to be buying this sucker. It's a brilliant move, I think, if it's real.
Make no mistake, Lockhart is a better system than the X, even with less GPU power. It's not just about having 60 FPS at will on a lot more games, or probably most all games, if the developer allows it. But it's CPU technologies that we haven't even seen this generation. That's the stuff that you're going to see next gen that I think really wows you. Is that destruction and all the animation stuff that they can bring that they just can't do now. Volumetrics and physics is massive. Rand says breaking report. Yeah, thanks, Rand. So yeah, I think that's very interesting. I think it's a better system overall. And if that had come out instead of the X, I would have definitely preferred that, because that'll give me more options to play. But I think it's one of those things people are gonna have to see. Not to mention, it's going to be way cheaper than something like the X was at launch, or even the OG Xbox One at launch. Like, it's such a good value, and that's kind of got to remember that. The Anaconda, though, is the big one, and this is why I do believe the PS5 will have 8 to 10 teraflops. I think it will definitely be less powerful. Actually, I know it will. And I think the PS5 is going to come in at $399 apparently, and that's, I've heard this multiple times. Yeah. Sony kind of want that same advantage they had last gen, but now Microsoft have taken that away by offering a 4 teraflop machine. And then they've also said, hey, we got the power too. This is why they're so confident, because they got both. And, that's the cool thing about it. So they can kind of do both. And for those that want the premium experience, you're going to pay $500 for this Anaconda. Yes, it is possible. Think about this. This isn't today. This is in fall of 2020, nearly 2 years from now.
Yep.
So I'd say it's definitely possible. $500 in 4 or 5 years. Let's say, what was it? 4 or 5 years. You almost got 5x power boost on the X.
It's a given that the PS5 and Xbox Anaconda were released at the same month in 2020, and like you're saying, in 2020, we're looking that far ahead. Those prices, like, this is what's happening right now, right, D? Right now, Sony's sitting down and saying, we need this amount of power. We need to be within this price point. What do we have to do to make sure the memory and the graphics power and the processing and everything meets that demand? What can we do, AMD? What can we do with all these other people they're working with? Like, this stuff is being locked down right now. And it just makes sense. If Microsoft knows they want to be more powerful, they're going to offer the $500 Anaconda, and then they're going to come in under. Think about this in 2020 when you go down to the store to pick up your console, you're going to see that cheaper Xbox, and you're going to see how games play on that thing at E3 and stuff like that. And then you're going to see this PS5 right in the middle, and then the Anaconda for $100 more. Like, it's going to be pretty crazy.
Matter of fact, I would argue Microsoft, when they show these off, don't even show off the Anaconda until the very end, and get people to understand.
I agree.
Get them to understand. Wow, they don't even know which one is running on. For instance, just talk about the system. And don't even tell the power. Don't even talk about the power yet until you have to.
And they finally have an advantage where they're going into this, where you can strategize like what you're saying. And it's funny because you see a lot of the console warriors, or whatever you want to call them. It's kind of like a misnomer now. They know Xbox is going to have the power. The power talk is power doesn't matter that much, but it's like already known that they're going to be more powerful. So there's no reason for them to just go out there and say it. They could just wait, and then they could just, if it is 12 and 8, that's going to be a big deal in my opinion. I can't see that much of a difference. I think 12 and 10 is more respectable. But if it was 12 and 8, that'd be pretty glaring in my opinion. And do you think though, with those specs, what more types of stuff would you see Xbox Anaconda getting than the PS5 per se? What type of more stuff with that much more GPU grunt?
It depends on if they actually are implementing ray tracing. You're going to have a lot more overhead to actually have way better resolutions with ray tracing. That's all up in the air. But we do know that more is better, provided you have the option to go the other route. Like Sporty Guy in the chat says the Lockhart will beat X, but X is still a great console. I completely agree. X is still and will be a great console. There is a severe bottleneck in the CPU, but I do think they're going to allow you to bring that stuff forward. So if you
Joe Freeman has a really good question that we used to talk about last year, but he said, what about the people on base Xbox playing online with people like on Anacondas? And Lockhart's.
And
It's
what?
just like PC. It's just like PC. Like you get what you pay for, and that's tech from 2013, actually older. And if you want to stay in 2013 tech and kind of save your money and get your value out of it, you can. But we can't hold back the people in the last generation, the new phones, because the guys that are on phones from 6-7 years from in the past don't want to move forward.
That's right.
Yeah, I think console parity needs to go away. If you don't have the latest tech, just like on PC, like Dealer's saying, I think that we need to get rid of that mindset, because the way that they're allowing more flexibility to pick the hardware that's best suited for you. If you want the best, go spend an extra $100 or so and buy the better thing.
There's not parity now.
Honestly,
Parity is dead.
Honestly, console gamers just need to really just stop.
Relax.
There's tiers to this, right? Just like you guys hit the nail on the head. Honestly, just like on PC, there's tiers to this. Same with a console. If you want an Xbox One S, you can still get one. If you want an Xbox One X, you can get one. If you want a little bit more powerful console that gives you 60 frames per second, you got the $250. If you want, the PlayStation for whatever exclusives they may have, you got that option. If you want, the best console you can get that's blurring the lines between console and PC, then you got the Anaconda, and you get to whatever is in your budget or for your needs, just like on PC, 2060, 2070, 2080. Nobody's complaining. People play with what they got, and they deal with it.
Yeah.
If they
Hey,
want
Vaughn has a question.
Parity's dead. It's been dead. It was dead when the Elite controller came out. It was dead when somebody came out with an OLED with 20 milliseconds input lag, or somebody brought the ability to use a monitor to Xbox. Parity doesn't exist. It never has. Your
fucking headphones
destroy parity. Like there's so many advantages. If you're out of game mode and the guy next to you is in game mode, you don't have parity. So, something like that, it just doesn't exist. It hasn't. And we do got to give a shout out to over 700 people watching us live, guys. Hit that like button. We've already passed our goal, but we would appreciate any extra goal. So
Fonz has a question for you, Dealer. Fonz has a specific question. He said, I keep pasting it so I won't lose it. He said, are gamers playing on a PC that can achieve... I didn't read this before. Okay, are gamers playing on a PC that can't achieve X levels of graphical fidelity? Are they peasants?
I think any PC gamer that constantly spends time talking about their new GPU and puts down people that want better performance on a home console, it's pitiful to me. Like, at that point, you can't be taken seriously as like a gamer. We can't even have a discussion with you about anything, especially when you don't play any games. So, at the end of the day, that kind of stuff, I don't even worry about it, man.
Knowing Fonz, he's just making a joke.
I know what he's doing. I'm just using that opportunity.
That's a good point.
Some people. But Shady, what were you saying a minute ago, bud?
I was just going to say, and for everyone who's screaming about parity, I mean, my God, if that's what you want, go find a fucking league. Turn down your Major League Gaming, your esports ego. We're sitting in our living rooms here having a good time with some games, man. Like, it's got to be toned down. This weird mentality of consoles are where it's fair across the board. We've all brought it up, from TVs to your audio setup, the
latency,
controller you're using, the internet connection you have.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. It's not like that. So if that's what you're looking for,
just using FreeSync.
That's right. I mean, like, if that's what someone wants and they want everyone to have the same system with the same controller, with the same internet, and everything, look for a league out there. It's a big world. We're all connected with the internet. Search one up or make one yourself. Maybe there's other gamers that feel like you do and you're starting something new. But like, Jesus, I'm tired of this fucking attitude of where's the parity? Where's the equalness? It's gone. It's never really been here anyways. So grow up. Go find something that'll suit your needs. That's not what consoles were ever for.
Go bitch because we have crossplay with the Switch on like Fortnite, because there's no parity there. So at the end of the day, we'll wrap up the Anaconda stuff. 12 teraflops, 16 gigs of RAM. Whether that's needed, keep in mind these things are going to last until like 2025 or 2027 probably. So you might not need 16 gigs of RAM today, but maybe you do in almost 10 years. You just never know. So we don't know. We're not saying it's real. We're not saying it's not real. 1 terabyte SSD is definitely much more likely on the top end $500 model than it is the base model. That base model, they said 1 terabyte NVMe, but I'm pretty sure that's like dev kit stuff. I don't think that's accurate either.
I know we're killing this topic, but I just want to say, last generation, we started with these systems being very anemic. And yeah, some of these specs may look overkill, but based off of last generation, it's better to prepare yourself for the future, man.
And we've heard that they've already said we got a blank check for hardware and software, whichever said publicly, but You know, that's like that's a thing. That's real. Like they really did imply that they have a blank check for these things now, and they realize that there's a lot of money in gaming. So
these guys are stuck on this generation. There's like 2 people in the chat saying this guy says the RX 580 and the GTX 1060 outperform the X in frame rate. Well, yeah, I mean it's a $250 card.
If you got a shitty CPU, it's bottlenecked by the CPU. It doesn't outperform in the frame rate.
Yeah, exactly. Put the same CPU on it, and I guarantee it the 1060 will underperform.
Yeah.
If you make all things equal, I mean, how these people, these PC guys sometimes when you want to.
I mean, the X is stuck with the CPU from whenever they made that. Like this guy's asking Colt, where's 120 frames on Arkham Knight on the X? It's like, dude, are you
just wait for the Mad Box?
Just stay in the same league here, bud.
You gotta compare the GPU, not the CPU, because we know the CPU is weaker than what's on PC. You got to compare the GPU, and if you compare the GPU with the 1060 or the 580, it smokes it. The Xbox X GPU
it's the baseline of if you want to do it. But
I literally showed it in my my PS5 5X faster video where I'm making fun of that whole stupid rumor. I showed Digital Foundry talking about Far Cry 5 and how the 1060 or 580 could not keep up with the X in the resolution or settings department.
I mean, I know it's so dumb because some games can run really great, can do better than the X on a GTX 1060, and then you take a game like Wolfenstein that can barely get over 34 frames per second. Like it just depends. Not everything's the same, and these are consoles, and it's so funny because I got harassed for comparing the X to a PC, and then the PC guys just turn around and just won't stop talking about it because they're threatened that a console is going to do some awesome stuff next generation. Be excited. It's going to push gaming forward. It's going to give you guys more games to play. These developers like Ubisoft make these incredible open world games because there's a massive console market out there that wants to buy games like this, as well as the PC gamers. This is one cohesive unit of people buying and playing really great games. Quit whining like a little baby back biscuit.
Baby back biscuit?
And I swore. There you go.
PC gamers have this mentality that they just have to have the best.
And we are one, D.
You guys, I am a PC guy, but you know what? I don't think myself as an elite. I got my system, I enjoy it, and that's all that matters to me. Some guys go out there and they get like 2 2080 Ti's and put them in SLI for what? What game is ever gonna freaking use that? Like these PC guys, I swear, if they drove like an Aston Martin and they saw you on the road in your Honda, they'd come out the car and say, "Look at you in your little stupid Honda."
Well, listen, I'm gonna to kind of wrap this all up. Honestly, is I'm a PC gamer. I was for a long time, and I still am to some extent. But I'm not gonna lie. When I got the X, I bought it because 1, I'm an Xbox fan, and 2, because I liked the exclusives on it, and I liked the controller. So when I got it, it really blew me away of how well it performed. And a lot of my friends are all PC gamers, and then they came to my house, played the X, was like, "Holy shit!" Played again, and went and bought their own. It doesn't matter, like, everybody's talking about like, oh, it's going to be this price and it might not do well or this or that. But to be honest with you, it just matters how they integrate the system, how well they code it, how well they put everything to work together in a seamless way so that you have a great experience. And that's what the X did. It reinvigorated a lot of people to come back into Xbox. I know it's hard to hear that, but it is.
It did for me
and
too.
It stopped a lot of my friends from, to be honest, and I've talked to dealers talk to these people in party. That stopped them from upgrading their PC because they were like, I don't need to.
I actually told them what they should upgrade to. They decided not to upgrade.
Yeah. He told them exactly what specs and stuff. We were talking about it, getting geeky about all the specs. And then they got like, they had the money and they were like, nah, I'm just going to keep my X. It's performing everything I would get on the PC anyways. Like, sure, I'm going to get a few little things here and there in Ultra, but it doesn't matter because it's not worth the money for me because I have the X. As long as they just keep doing that and iterate it, the X or the Anaconda, the Lockhart, all these are going to be just fucking fine, and it's going to change people's minds.
Zocker, the loudest PC gamers are the ones that spent well over $500 or $600 for their PC, and then they see this X, games like Far Cry, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Red Dead Redemption 2 looking absolutely phenomenal on this one little console. And I mean, look at the $400 Pro with Spider-Man and God of War. Like, these games look freaking fantastic, and they're like, oh, I'm not gonna play at 30 FPS, it hurts my eyes, it gives me brain tumors. It's like, man, I had so much enjoyment playing these huge games, even though they were at 30 frames per second and I had to take a bunch of ibuprofen.
Yeah, I want to wrap what Zocker was saying up with, everything you said, Zocker, is perfectly fine. Wasn't nothing wrong with that. Like, people want to play where they want to play, and if they're satisfied, they're not going to go anywhere else. And that's why the Anaconda exists in the first place. They want to satisfy both markets here. But there's going to be people that have a big problem with that. They get offended because your friends decide, hey, I don't need to upgrade to anything else. And to those people, I want to ask you, why do you feel that way? Why does it bother you that somebody decided to go ahead and just say, you know what, I'm actually pretty happy here on the X. It's pretty cool. Just really think about that. I think that might be something a personal problem you got going on in your head there. So, Zucker, the studios leak here. A lot of people wanted me to cover this from that leak stuff from the last video. These studio acquisition stuff. Do you got this pulled up?
Yeah, I got it right here. Yeah.
Go ahead and go with the studios that were also on this leak paper.
Yeah, so in the leak, the same leak with the specs that we had, they have IO Interactive, Asobo Studios, Platinum Games, Turtle Rock, Blue Point, Relic Entertainment, and The Farm 51. Now, for my personal thing, we've heard about IO and Turtle Rock and Blue Point a little bit through some people like Clobriel or other people that have said stuff about it. Not insiders, but insiders. But yeah, then we have. The big one to me, the big surprises were Platinum Games and Relic Entertainment. Relic especially, they make RTSs, Company of Heroes. They've done some Warhammer stuff. They're fucking amazing developers, and they make amazing games. If any of this is, an inkling of truth, and they announce Relic Entertainment or anything, I'm gonna shit myself on live TV. I don't know, like it's just gonna be amazing because I love RTS's strategy. Again, yes, shit twice. So yeah, that's and Platinum is the other one that's kind of like, wow, what's gonna happen? Because they had the scale bound and all that kind of problems with them, and they said they would never work with Microsoft again or something, if I was correct. So yeah, what does everybody else think
with Platinum again? Because Platinum got fired because they kept missing deadlines. I don't think that all these are true, but I also know that some of these were not made public, and that Microsoft actually were talking to that nobody's really talked about before. So once again, I think this guy knows somebody. Somebody brought it out that he could intentionally be getting some of the stuff wrong. That's out there. But at the end of the day, we do know that some of these studios had been kind of talked to by Microsoft. Like I said before, those were all studios that Microsoft were talking about acquiring or in talks with to potentially acquire. Which many of we've already talked about in the past. So that's very interesting stuff, dude.
Well, one thing, a tidbit that I can tell you, when I first read that and I saw Platinum Games, I kind of dismissed the whole list because I think there was kind of bad blood there. But and I haven't heard that. But one of the ones mentioned, I can in fact say that now I've heard that, like kind of like what you say, like things that you've heard, dealer, you won't say anything until you hear it or it's printed out. Well, I'm the kind of the same, elk, like I'm the same way. And I've heard Relic's name. So Relic.
What the heck was that?
That was me having a seizure in the back.
No, Relic is specifically for the Age of Empires IP. From what I heard, from various people, whatever, whatnot, is that they want to figure out a way or somebody to handle the Age of Empire IP. Whether that is going to be Relic or a studio they build, that is something that I heard that is real. So the Relic one, I could say there is some relevance to. The other ones, Blue Point maybe is the one that Clobrill was teasing. If that's one of them, that's a really good one because in my opinion they can make a lot of remakes that are classics of Banjo, and they can make some new IPs too. So interesting though, to say the least.
All Day says, when's that fight night match going down? My comments there. I already asked King's Blood if he wanted to do it, and let me know soon. He didn't reply, but
I'm Don King in that thing big time. Holy in America.
Have a good time with Fight Night, Aldo. I boot it up. Well, it's not on the PlayStation. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move ahead.
He's gonna load up his PS3 and see if he can jerry rig it.
Here's what was summed up here. They said they want a diverse, basically a target number of studios from around the world. So they're looking for kind of global development staff. Keep in mind that all of their studios, much like Sony's, do share technology, do share developer tricks. So the more experience you got there, the better, and it's all good. So once again, guys, this is kind of a tech pack kind of show, but we do appreciate 700 plus showing up tonight. Hit that like button on your way out. We're going to get into some outros. Shout out to everybody that showed up, because we just magically do it, with no effort at all, apparently. So, we do want to say thanks. You guys are amazing. We're going to give a shout out to, hey, Tim Dog for joining us once again, man. You were one of our first guests. And to this day, you've been on here a couple times, man. You're always enjoyable until you fall asleep. But, it was good having you on.
Did not fall asleep. I was on the mute. And I have to preface this that SOT is not paying, Microsoft is not paying Sea of Thieves streamers. Just so you know, because supposedly I made a tweet and it made its rounds today. And during the portion of the show when I was quiet, it was because of that. Some people from Microsoft hit me up and everything. That is not serious.
Oh my God.
Joke. It was a joke to Jeremy, but I kind of explained my case. And though other than that, the show is awesome. The biggest part, which we talked about the specs, I'm really interested to hear what you guys say. It's awesome. I love the show. Like I said, I love to come back on again, especially when we get some relevant news and stuff like that. It's fun. I mean, for a show to get 700 plus people on a day where we were going and saying, we got to talk about this paper and there's not much else, is very impressive.
Yeah, we do appreciate it, Tim. We've been on quite a journey here, so we do appreciate it. Hey, we're going to start some more outros here. Tim, let us know what you've been playing, bud, real quick, and where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter, Beastfire Tim Dog, and the last thing I played was Fortune Island about a week ago. I kind of just went away and had a crazy weekend up at Woodlock Pines. I recommend if you ever want to get away. It's a great place. So the last thing I played was Fortune Island, and I kind of had the same feelings that you did. I was waiting to go up some big hill and fly off of it for thousands of feet, but it just kind of didn't hit the bill. But
it was all right.
What you said though, akin to there is supposedly some kind of crazy DLCs coming, so keep an eye out, peeled for that.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, bud. And Colt, what have you been playing? Where can people find you, bud?
I'm kind of embarrassed to say what I've been playing, but I actually like this game. We Happy Few came to Game Pass, and at first I didn't like it for a minute, and then I just started listening with my headphones on and really kind of, I don't know. It's better. Yeah, it's better than people say. I mean, if this game had powers and guns like BioShock, it would be huge. So it's a missed opportunity. I hope that it kind of makes me think that Compulsion Games has something waiting to break out, that they can create something much better than We Happy Few. But I am compelled to play it, and that's saying a lot. I'm enjoying it. So yeah, you can find me at YouTube at Colt Eastwood, and on Twitter. I just put out like my longest video ever, 16 minutes long, talking about how Crackdown started, how it's always been through troubles, even from the very first one, and it's never been in a good place. It's very interesting.
I mean, it's coming to a good place now. It looks just
is now.
Good now, yeah.
I get a lot of comments, people on Twitter and on the video in the comments. They say Microsoft just doesn't care about this game anymore. I'm like, actually, if you're paying attention this past year, they care a lot about Crackdown, but they're not marketing in it, and I'm really upset. And we'll probably hear about it on the 5th for Inside Xbox, which is in 2 or 3 weeks. But it's not my job to market the game.
I think they're going to go hard on marketing the week or two before, but
yeah, like they did with State of Decay and Sea of Thieves, but that's still not the right way to do things.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out to Fonz too. Fonz, his biggest video ever was his Crackdown video here recently, so go check out Fonz's video as well. So shady, but I know we kind of went in the realm of nerdum here with the tech stuff constantly, but thanks for joining us and kind of sitting idly by as we kind of ramble on about this shit. But what have you been playing, man, and where can people find you?
Oh, this last week I got hardcore into Metro. I played it back on the 360 and I enjoyed it, but I just didn't remember enjoying it as much as I did this time, man. Like I said earlier, I played it twice in a row, got every achievement. I am dying to get into Last Light. Super hyped for Exodus. Highly, highly recommend anyone check that out. I believe it's in Game Pass right now, and it's always on sale for like $5 for both games.
Yeah.
It's just so good. That atmosphere, man. Like, oh, I loved it. I loved it. So I've been doing that. And then I got back into Battlefield 5 online because the new Tides of War event started happening. So there's some new cosmetics and weapons and stuff that I can start unlocking. And I just really, really enjoy that game online. It's damn good. A little bit of destruction in Just Cause 4, not too much, but I'll be getting into that again soon. Looking forward to this weekend with the Anthem demo and Resident Evil 2. Just so much to play, man. Awesome to be here. Anyone on Twitter, if you're looking and interested, I am So Shady at the Sesh Empire. Maybe give me a follow, become an agent. We like to, shoot the shit, have a good time over there. And on Xbox, I'm just So Shady. That's 2 words. Thanks.
And So Shady puts up a shtick, you call it. So it's all fun and games. Just become part of the Empire today. Follow at the Sesh Empire. And of course, we've also got Zocker. What have you been playing, bud? Where can people find you?
I've been playing some Rainbow Six Siege, actually. I was playing that last night. Been playing some Sea of Thieves. And to kind of bounce off what Tim was saying, how Mark Ybarra said nobody's paying them to play the Sea of Thieves game. And one reason why people think they are paying them is because they're like, it can't be that entertaining all the time with PvP, especially with Summit. But I have to say, every time I've played the game, I've had that much entertainment times 10. And, a little story, sorry to kind of go off the beaten path, but a little story was me, Dealer, Rand, were doing a skull fort with my buddy David, and we loaded up the skull fort on our ship. And then right when we started taking the powder kegs on, some other crew was hiding on the island, shot the powder keg, blew up our ship, killed all of us, and just waited for us to load the treasure on there so they can steal it. We got back in time, murdered them, and got our loot back. But little things like that happen all the time.
Rowboat, where we were.
Yeah.
They had it all loaded up on the rowboat, and we show up and just fuck them up. But
no, there's multiple stories like that. That's why the game's getting what the much deserved respect it is getting now. But yeah, it's Rainbow Six Siege. I'm gonna be playing Anthem this weekend like crazy. I'm really excited. I recommend everybody to check out the demo. Everything you do in the demo will move forward with you into the open demo, but it won't go with you when the game releases. But it's going to give you a great experience of what you think of the game. I'm happy that the devs are doing that. And you guys can find me at Zalker87 on Twitter, and then Zalker87 on my YouTube channel. Just put out an Anthem video, putting out some other stuff. Come follow me and check it out, guys. Thanks for having me.
That's Anthem beta again? The closed?
Excuse me?
How do you get into the closed Anthem beta?
You have to pre-order the game to get in the closed Anthem beta. But then if one of your buddies has pre-ordered it, he'll get, I think, 3 codes to give so you can play with him. And they're not tied down to that console. So if he has it on Xbox, he can give you a code for PC or PS4, whichever one. They just go globally. So you can play with a buddy, and you don't have to pre-order it.
I think you can also just be an EA Access member actually to get into this one. I might have misread that as well.
I'm not sure. You may be.
There's also a completely open, free to everybody beta starting in the very beginning of February. I think it was like the 5th to the 7th of February. That's wide open for everyone.
Either way, we'll have some good codes to go on. D-Back, what have you been playing? Where can people find you, bud?
I've been going through a Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Just about to finish that game. And like you, I'm looking forward to Resident Evil, the remake later on this week. I can't wait for that game. I got it pre-ordered on PC. And I was looking through the comments here. LG Nemesis said that for those that have pre-ordered Anthem, that the beta is actually live right now to download. So I don't know if you guys want to check that out. I don't know how true that is. You guys can find me at Twitter at D_batch, and of course on YouTube at DBatch.
When does that beta start again?
Friday.
It's a Friday, but apparently for those that I don't know, according to LG,
I'm installing it right now.
He says it's live right now. You can install.
Yeah, it's live.
What to play or to install?
For Anthem?
Yeah, to play.
It's just to pre-install. It's a 30 gigabyte download. So it's just to pre-install. So people, when Friday comes along, they can play it, because you start off at level 10. You get to do a few story missions and 1 stronghold, and then that's pretty much it. They're going to give you that much, but it's going to take you a couple hours to do it. So they're really testing out their servers. Be prepared for a lot of people to jump on and expect some lag. They're really testing it. They're being very vigorous about it.
Hey, so where do I download that at though? Is it in the ready to install?
It's in demos.
If you have a pre-order demo,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go stores all the way down the bottom of demos.
I just was looking at the chat and somebody said D finished your mom, so I just thought that was pretty funny. Because somebody said D doesn't finish games, and he had a little defender in the chat.
Oh my God! Listen, man. Let's be honest. Most gamers, we get through a lot of games, and some games they stay on the backlog. I try to finish all my games. I'm a little bit behind. I'm gonna get there.
Yeah, I helped D finish his 4th game last year. We beat Gears of War together.
There we go. 4th game of my history.
Yeah. Woo! Almost as good as your Halo service record. No, I'm not one to talk. I don't play that game, so I don't play.
Actually, my Gears of War service, I've actually cleared all the games. Gears of War is my game. I play the game, but I play a lot of sports games. To be honest with you, I play a lot of online fighters and stuff like that. So a lot of my time there, and I got a newborn baby, guys. I'm sorry, I just can't game all the time.
Yeah. Well, as for me, I just beat Onimusha Warlords not too long ago. A lot of people were asking me what that footage was on my last video, and I put it in the top comment. So remember, always check the top comment, see if I pinned something there. But yeah, that's definitely what that samurai game was. It's a PS2 classic, and they've kind of up-resed it, and it's a basic remaster, not a remake. So, but a lot of nostalgia, pretty good time there. And I've just been kind of waiting for Resident Evil. I'm in one of those things where it's like you don't want to play anything else until a new thing you're waiting on playing is coming out. So smashed on Onimusha, and I've been just working on stuff. A lot of time my Xbox is on, but I'll be on HDMI 2 on my PC working on the stuff or building something in the background. So just so you guys know, you can follow me at dealer_gaming, ii _dealer _ii on Xbox Live. Always reply to everyone there. If you got any questions about Xbox or any of this stuff coming up, be sure and add me there. It's pretty easy to get back to you guys and reply to you guys. And I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. We are getting out of here.
Later, everybody.
Peace. Jump in.